Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. I've had quite a bit of experience in my life moving around brush. I grew up on an apple orchard, and every year you prune the trees and then you've got to get the brush out of the orchard. And the way we did it was a poor man's way of doing business. We had a front end loader with a flat fork we called a bull rake that we would push the brush, my dad would push the brush down the rows, and then a lot of brush limbs would roll underneath or fall off the side, and Mom and I would walk in back of Dad and move those to the next row, and then he'd push that row and then we'd move it. It was a really labor intensive way of moving brush. And when I got into the dealership world, in the equipment world, I found out there's a whole lot better way of doing it, and that is using a grapple. And a grapple, of course, is a hydraulic device that clamps down on the brush, and if you can clamp down on the brush you can move it somewhere else and not string it everywhere. So it's a tremendous way of moving brush. And one of the first years I was in the dealership world, we had a horrible ice storm in southern Missouri. It took down a lot of limbs. There was a lot of brush everywhere, a lot of cleanup. It took weeks. And we sold grapples by the truckload at the dealership I worked at. And I figured those grapples would show up at sales and on Craigslist in the years to come, and they never did. So it told me that once you own a grapple, you find lots of uses for one. Well, today I'm going to talk with a guy that probably has a bigger selection of grapples than anybody else. It's a company called Precision Manufacturing in Sedalia, Missouri, and that's kind of their niche in the equipment market is grapples. And I sold their product when I worked at the dealership world, and good company, good quality product. And today we're going to talk about their introductory model. Let's watch. We're speaking with Bill, who is the owner of Precision Manufacturing in Sedalia, Missouri, and we're going to talk about the Add A Grapple. And the Add A Grapple is a nifty tool to make your bucket a grapple. And Bill, tell us, where did this idea come from?
We wanted to come up with a grapple, number one, that was inexpensive, and number two, that would be kind of universal to where it would fit a wide variety of different width buckets, because Kubota's 48-inch bucket, John Deere's 48-inch bucket, Coyote's 48-inch bucket, they're all not 48. One may be 46, one may be 51, etc., etc. So we had to have something that would fit all of them. So what we did, we made the ends telescoping. So we made it to where we could actually go from 60 inches to 79-inch width buckets on the Add A Grapple. And we also wanted to make it to where it's easy to pick limbs up or other debris that you're picking up. This has a 39-inch opening when it's fully open. And we also we made it available to where you could do it with a single grapple like you see here, or also a double grapple. And some people want to cover more of the area of their bucket with the grapples to scoop more stuff inside the bucket, so that's why we came up with that. We also designed the frame to where, say you buy a single grapple and you think, man, I wish I'd got a double. Well, it's real easy to add another grapple to it. We put the extra tabs, as you can see, the cylinder tab and the grapple tabs on there, so that you can move this over and then set another single grapple over here on the side and you convert it to a double. The only other thing is on the double grapple, we include the hoses, because since you've got two different cylinders, we knew that teeing those off and plumbing it correctly was going to be a challenge. So it's easier for us. We already knew the dimensions. It's easier for us to do it for you. So we do include the hoses and cylinder guards on the double Add A Grapple.
He's got the option for the 5-foot on up bucket, but you've also got a smaller option for subcompacts. It's fairly new to the price book, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's called the Mini Add A Grapple, and it goes from 36-inch wide buckets up to 55-inch.
What I found in using it, when you're trying to get brush, if you come into it straight with the bucket level like we're kind of used to with a dirt pile, it doesn't work that great. You've got to kind of tilt it. Tell us about how the best way to use it is.
Well, the best way to use this is, say you've got a limb laying here like this, you drive up to it, you need to wrap the grapple around it, scoop it into the bucket, and then tilt back, and away you go to the brush pile.
That's what I found. That's what I found. Well, it's kind of a neat tool. Again, there's a pretty big price difference in the single Add A Grapple because there's no hoses included on that. You can go to a local farm store and get hoses and fittings and you do have to have a way of getting hydraulic flow to the front of your tractor before ordering this product. And you've got a product available for that too.
Yeah, we have our extra valve kit that we use for that.
To divert the flow of oil from your loader to this. But it doesn't matter if you have quick attach or not, this will bolt on any bucket and it'll give you a way of picking up stuff when you're out. And getting to test out the single Add A Grapple and pick up brush does a really good job. I put it through a really tough test here, and I was picking up some locust trees that I'd cut down earlier, and then grass grew up around them. Really tough job for a grapple, and it did an okay job. It would have done a tremendous job had I been around the grapple a little longer and got my bucket tilted just right. And I honestly think that if I put a tooth bar on my bucket and be able to kind of rake or comb the ground, it would have done an amazing job. So if you're looking at an Add A Grapple, I would try it and see how it works with brush. You know, brush that's just freshly cut in low grass would be no big deal, but in heavy grass like this, it's really tough. And if you're doing something like that, think about a tooth bar for your bucket. It would probably make the Add A Grapple really shine. I used it to pick up just random things. I picked up a rock, and it took me a few tries to get that done. I picked up just some posts that had been laying around, a mixture of round fence posts and T-posts that were laying around. I picked up a log, and that was no big deal. If you get your bucket tilted right, there's no problem at all to do something like that. As I was driving out of the woods, I saw a limb that had just fallen down, and I just drove up to it and put down the clamp, the grapple, and I didn't really get a very good hold on the limb, and picked it up and moved it to the brush pile with no problem and dumped it off. And to me, the Add A Grapple is going to really shine if you're out in the woods a lot and you either you don't like changing implements, or you don't have a quick attach adapter for the front of your tractor, and you're kind of stuck with a loader bucket all the time, and you want to move stuff around, or even if you have a quick attach and you just want to have that grapple there. You're driving through the woods, you've been using the bucket for something else, and all of a sudden you see a limb, you just clamp down on it and take it somewhere else. Or a big rock that you want to dig out of the ground, and then you don't want to get off the tractor seat, you want to clamp down on it and move it. It'd be a great device for that. If you do timber for a living, if you're taking down a bunch of trees for logging and you need to get the limbs out, you probably want to go to a full-fledged grapple. But if you just use it sparingly around your estate, and you want that on there on the bucket, and you want to be able to take it off, and you don't want to tie up a bunch of money in it, the Add A Grapple is a great attachment to use. If you'd like to buy it, it's available here on my website. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the mic face icon up in the corner, and make sure you check the bell so you get notified when I post future videos. And you'll need a hydraulics to run the Add A Grapple. Look here for videos on how to get hydraulics to the front of your tractor. Thanks for watching.